Welcome, everyone. My name's Julie. This is the Circle of Hope online Sunday meeting. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're joining us on this beautiful day, or maybe later on when you're watching. This whole meeting is designed in the joy of being who you are. Since Jesus is raised from the dead, we want to celebrate life in you and through us, even when it's hard to see. Especially when it's hard to see. So this meeting is for that. And God made you strangely and uniquely beautiful. It's a joy to celebrate through the uniqueness of each other. So this meeting is a collection of unique people practicing joy in Jesus and in our togetherness. I'm glad you're here to help make that happen. Pastors, you're here on screen with me. Why don't you introduce yourselves, because you're a joy too.
Thanks, Julie. I'm Rachel Sensenig in South Philly.
Johnny Rashid, Fishtown, Pennsylvania.
And I'm Ben in Haddon Township, New Jersey.
And folks from all of our congregations collaborate to help make this online meeting happen. So you'll get to meet more people as we go along. But I want to start by acknowledging that it may feel like a struggle to practice joy. When we wake up every morning to new tragedy, the news that Black and brown lives don't matter is ongoing. Just this week, Derek Chauvin's trial of the murder of George Floyd, Dante Wright, Adam Toledo. I want to say their names because the heartbreak of this week is not new. And we want to acknowledge that at the start of this meeting, because the joy of being who we are is really only possible in the affirmation of the dignity and worth of every human being. This requires resisting the forces that would tell us otherwise and naming the ongoing violence as a diminishment of the humanity of all of us. The joy of who we are, the uniqueness of each of us as created beings, is a reflection of God's glory. So in a society where we fail to collectively acknowledge that, I want to say it here. And joy in that context is an act of resistance. It doesn't erase our grief. It is a call to something more. And Johnny's going to talk about that more in a little bit. But I wanted to start by naming that so that if you're bringing that to this meeting, you don't feel alone. And I want to start too with sharing my experience of a peculiar joy that has helped to sustain me through this long, hard year. And I hope that it brings you some joy too. So take a look.
A peculiar joy that I have experienced during this pandemic has to do with my neighbor, Bernard. So I'm sitting out here in front of my house because I want to introduce you to him. He plays piano for his congregation, and I can hear him practicing in his basement when I am in my basement working. And it has brought me so much joy. So I'm good. So he said he would play for us through his window. So let's go over and listen so you can get a little glimpse of. All right, everybody, this is my neighbor Bernard, and he's going to play some music for us. Bernard, how long have you been playing piano?
Since I was, I guess, in third grade, roughly. Yeah.
Wow.
Third grade. Praise the Lord, guys.
Amen.
So,
what are you going to play for us today?
let's do what a friend we have in Jesus, and I'll try to make up as I go along.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. What a friend we have in Jesus. Oh, our sin and griefs to bear. What a privilege it is to carry. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not
Jesus as a friend is a good reminder on the hard days.
Indeed.
I asked Bernard, how do you stay joyful in the midst of tragedy? And he said to me, God is in touch with all of our feelings. Even in our frailty, God knows.
Yeah.
So when life situations seem hopeless, I focus on God's goodness.
Wow.
Absolutely. So good. And then he can put it into the keyboard too. I started playing piano when I was in 3rd grade too, but I can't play like that.
Hours and hours of practice. It's
Yeah, he
amazing that
kept
I
it
get
at
to
it.
listen.
You can't
Yep.
quit.
Yep.
That is some peculiar joy. What a sweet thing you have there.
Yeah, it's beautiful that I get to hear him in my basement. So the walls are a lot thicker, and it's not as clear like through the window. So I have to listen closely. But just the stillness that I have to that invites me into, so that I can hear the praise of God, is a good practice for me. So thanks for
You've got
sharing
like
in my joy.
whispered soundtrack of joy right there.
Yeah. Yep. Great. Well, I hope it brings you some joy. And the rest of this meeting is designed in various ways to do that too. I hope you'll sign in if you haven't already at circleofhope.net/online meeting. Let us know that you are here, because you are a joy too. So let yourself be known in that little way, or pop into the live chat that's happening on our YouTube channel. People are interacting throughout this meeting because it's the church expressing itself. That's what this whole meeting is, and it's an invitation for everyone to participate. Our cells are also an invitation for everyone to participate. The cells of the church are like cells of the body. They are basic to the way that life happens in the church. And Jimmy, you're gonna get to hear Jimmy interviewing a friend from his cell about the life that is happening there. And then following that, Lindsay and Ra, who are in a pod together, are leading us to respond in worship outside. We tried to create as much of this meeting outside as we could, just in celebration of the life that is outdoors in the spring. So I hope you can feel some of that. Let's listen and hear as Jimmy and Alec talk.
So, hello everyone. My name's Jimmy, and I am a cell leader at our South Broad location. And here with me, I have my buddy Alec. And I just want to do a little interview with you, Alec. But my first question to you is, how did you find us, and why were you seeking?
I probably met you, Jimmy, maybe like 5 years ago, maybe even a little more. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's a good question, because I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, dang, dude, I think I've known Alec for like 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And
I met you through a mutual friend of mine, through like the recovery community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was like skeptical, at first. I never really had good experiences with like churches or Christian folks, and I went, and I don't know where we first hung out. I feel like I went to your house for something, like a cell or somebody's house, and this was like years ago with Terry. And yeah, I remember just really enjoying it. I mean, since then, like a lot had happened. You know, I wound up like leaving recovery and coming back now a couple years later, and I've been through like so much. And this time around, you know, a lot's changed. And you know, I reached out to you, you know, a couple years ago again when I was getting my life back together, and and you just welcomed me, man. And I just came back, you know, I just came back to sell, and I feel like I've been, you know, like a part of it for the past maybe like 5 or 6 months, and it's amazing. You know, I love it, man.
What is it that makes you keep coming back to it?
I mean, I hadn't had like an experience where I felt as welcome in a place. Maybe, you know, I can't think of really any other place that I feel as welcome or open as I can be in cell. You know, I really look forward to it too, man. Like I can just let it rip and be myself, and I could get vulnerable. And there's been a couple times I've like cried up on that joint, bro, and it's beautiful, man. Like I don't know, I don't ever feel like, sometimes I feel a little funny after I cry on it, right? But because I don't know anyone that well besides you, really, on there, Jimmy. But I can't even say that anymore. I feel like I know everybody on that cell pretty well now. Actually, I take that back. Yeah, I feel a lot of love for everybody in there, and like I actually feel like they got a lot of love for me too. And you kind of like feel it when you're in there, you know.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of cell, right? Like you become close enough to be able to get vulnerable and emotional and all that. You know what I mean? And you know, I think you know, from what we come from, and you know, being addicts and stuff, like we feel alone, we feel abandoned, and then you get sober, and then you're like, everything is so new. Cell has helped me to trust people more, and I'm glad that you like were like, you're the only person in it. Wait, no.
Yeah.
Wait, I have like, I know everyone in it.
Yeah.
We're a family. You know what I mean? I think that's super dope. What brings you joy?
That's, you know, man, like I would probably say, you know, it's been like the simple things, dude. Like especially like this year, man, like it's been like I'm just so grateful for like the little stuff, man. Just like being able to see my family, you know, after I got like vaccinated, and they got vaccinated, and you know, like seeing my sister's baby, man. You know, like I had to wait months and months and months until I got to see my sister's baby, man. And I don't know, man. It's just been this, right? Like I've like deepened my centering prayer practice, man, throughout all this, and it's been like a crazy experience, right? Like it's the little things that bring me joy, dude. Like even work, like the work that I do, you know. I mean, you know, I don't know, man. I'm great. I have a great life now. A lot of the doubt that I've had, you know, because like forever, man, it's been like even coming when I met you, you know, like not being able to openly identify or say I'm a Christian or whatever because of the baggage that comes with it, right? Or whatever. But I mean, like through my prayer practice, man, like I feel like I've had like direct experience that's like undeniable, bro.
Right.
And when it's undeniable, you like, what do you do then? What do you do, dude?
That's the thing, man. That's what do you do?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I don't know, man.
I think you're doing it. You know what I mean? I think that like, you know, being a part of a cell, you know, being a part of community, praying, you know what I mean? You're doing it, you know, and
I'm lucky, man. To have you guys. I'm really grateful, man. Like
the thing is that we're lucky to have you. You know what I mean? Like as we wrap this up, I just want to say, like, give you some love. I think that you bring joy. You know what I mean? You bring joy into everyone that you come in contact with their lives. You know, and you're fun. You know what I mean? You crack all of us up and sell, and you're a part of the family. I just want to say that, man. I'm grateful for you too, dog. You know what I mean?
I love you, bro.
I love you too, man. I wish if we weren't on screen, let's give a 5 real quick. Woo.
soul finds rest in you. My shelter in winter, I rest in you. My soul finds rest in you. My shelter in winter, I rest in you. We lift our voices, we lift our hearts, bring us to Jesus. Your love shines through the darkness, surrounds me. I rest in you. No fear shall consume me. I rest in you. The darkness surrounds me. I rest in you. No fear shall consume me. I rest in you. We lift our voices, we lift our hearts, bring us to Jesus. Your love shines through. We lift our voices, we lift our hearts, bring us to Jesus. Your love shines through. Oh Lord, my soul finds rest in you. My shelter in winter, I rest in you. Walking in the light, walking in the light, the beautiful light. Ain't it wonderful how the light shines? Walking in the light, the beautiful light. Ain't it wonderful how the light shines? Trusting in the light, trusting in the light, the beautiful light. Ain't it wonderful how the light shines? Trusting in the light, the beautiful light. Ain't it wonderful how the light shines? Joy in the light, joy in the light, the beautiful light. Ain't it wonderful how the light shines? Joy in the light, the beautiful light. Ain't it wonderful how the light shines? Jesus is the light, Jesus is the light, the beautiful light. Ain't it wonderful how the light shines?
ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami. Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze.
Just lifting my hands up with the team, dancing along, because I really do need my joy lifted. I need my spirits lifted up to the sky, because it's a difficult time that we're in. It happened again, didn't it? Regardless of whether it was carelessness, negligence, or a straight up lynching, it happened again. Another black person died at the hands of police. And that's just a fact. It's hard to keep feeling the pain of racialized violence. It's hard to keep feeling the injustice. It's hard to give messages about it. It's hard to talk about it. I'm tired of talking about it, y'all. I don't want to keep giving talks about it. I'm tired of it. I want to turn it off. I want to move on. I want to ignore it, but it's still deeply within me. It's easier to numb myself to it as a person of color, that I live in a place that doesn't see me in the same way as it does others. In my experience as a brown man in the United States, my experience of racism is markedly different than that of Dante Wright, or George Floyd, or Breonna Taylor, or Ahmaud Arbery. So I want to keep listening and deepening my understanding of the scourge of racism in its most heinous forms and its most violent forms that those individuals experienced. But I want not just to listen, to empathize and to sympathize. I want to listen for something more. I can't just gawk at their suffering, as if witnessing it does much of anything. It's not good enough to just feel for them. It's not good enough to just feel for me, y'all. I don't want sympathy. I want justice. I don't want my pain to be memorialized. I want things to change. I don't want transcendence. I want imminent liberation. I want freedom now. This happens too much. It happens with too much impunity in the public eye, and so little changes, so little changes. We see it all the time. It's documented, it's right before our eyes, and things don't change. What a savage society we live in. The officer who killed Dante Wright has resigned and has been charged with second-degree manslaughter. And this killing just occurred miles away from the trial of Derek Chauvin, the cop who killed George Floyd. We just went through this. And it's hard to believe that it'll stop, that state justice will occur. And so I'm often left in despair, with my only hope as a Christian being that one day God will deliver me from this place full of racism to a kingdom that doesn't have any in it. But then what do I do now? How do I act? How does a Christian respond in the in-between time as we await our entrance into glory or Christ's return? What if justice and hope were at the heart of our community, of our faith, of our prophetic action? What if instead of waiting for heaven, we brought heaven to earth? What if we did our part to make sure that what we saw this week didn't keep happening? We have an opportunity, my friends, then, as a body and as a people, to do something and to be something different. Even though Christians have so often aided and abetted white supremacy in the United States, it's also true that Christians have been civil rights leaders and abolitionists too. And the last week, just on our Trans Historical blog, we celebrated the lives of Dietrich Bonhoeffer and Corrie ten Boom, the famous Nazi resistors. And Howard Thurman, a black minister and theologian with a prophetic heart and a pastoral spirit. These people comfort me in times of distress. I love looking back at our history and remembering the good of it and not just focusing on what didn't work. They comfort me not to numb me, but to fire me up, give me some energy to do something. And I have to say it, as much as my skin color has softened me to these experiences, it is my faith that has softened my heart to continue to feel the horror that surrounds me. I'm in Hart Lane Farm right now, and you can hear the L around me if you're wondering what that is. So, while I don't want to succumb to despair, I am moved not to, because I worship the author of hope and the author of justice. When they're at their best, when we are at our best, as Christians, our hearts are softened, ready to receive and learn the suffering that's around us, but not just to be containers that hold suffering, but vessels that act for justice. We are also ready to receive and plant seeds of hope. We respond to the world's pain with compassion and with understanding, but also with a willingness to work for redemption, to work for restitution, to work for changing how everything works, right? We have an opportunity together as a body. We're mimicking Jesus, who made things right in his life and his death and his resurrection. We're in the project of world redemption too. The church then can generate justice and hope. This is the heart of who we are. The arrival of the Son of Man, Jesus Christ, on earth is a sign of the arrival of hope and justice. The vision of Christianity is articulated beautifully in the first 4 chapters of the Gospel of Luke. When Jesus was born, in Luke 2, the angels pronounced peace and goodwill to all. In Luke 1, when Mary learns that she's giving birth to this baby Savior, she's giving birth to her deliverer, to her liberator, to her redeemer, she sings, "He has pulled the powerful down from their thrones. He has lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and has sent the rich away empty." John the Baptist repeats Isaiah's prophecy in Luke 3. Every valley will be filled, and every mountain and hill will be leveled. The crooked will be made straight, the rough places made smooth. All humanity will see God's salvation. And then Jesus enters the scene in Luke 4 with his own prophecy, also from Isaiah, that he gives, that he's here to give good news to the poor. He has sent me to preach the good news to the poor, to proclaim the release of the prisoners and recover the sight to the blind, to liberate the oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. In Matthew 11, when the disciples of John the Baptist approach Jesus and wonder if he's the one they've been waiting for, Jesus says to them, "Those who have leprosy are cleansed, the dead are raised, the good news is proclaimed to the poor." Indeed, Jesus made his neighborhoods, the places he ministered in, better places, bringing justice and hope to them. In fact, in John 1, when he greets Nathanael as someone from Nazareth, he receives a scoff. What good can come from Nazareth? He's changing neighborhoods. He transformed lives. He's filling the hungry with good things, and he helped the rich and powerful self-empty in order to follow him. Everybody's invited to this table, and Jesus meets you right where you are, in your condition, and lifts you up if you need to be lifted up, and brings you down if you need to be brought down. And so, when we witness another police killing of a black person, we look to Jesus for our motivation to act and our source of hope in the struggle. Truly, the acts of Jesus, the ones that bring hope and justice, point to a sign of greater things. They help us know that Jesus is to be followed. They help us know that his followers can make a difference. Lives transformed, neighborhoods transformed, the world transformed. We are doing our part, little by little, as a church. Cell by cell, person to person, team by team. So we can carefully enter into our grief and see the apparent racism that's before us, as we witnessed just this week in Minnesota. And we can dare to do so because we are invited to do something to change that. We're creating an anti-racist, non-violent community which demonstrates what the world can be like, and then we advocate in a world to fight injustice, knowing that our hope that motivates us isn't the fruit of our labor. Our fruit of our labor isn't where we get our hope, because we get hope because we relate to the one who makes hope. We want to build a community where people can tackle injustice and feel hope in the solidarity and love that they find among us. We are a refuge for you. They don't need to numb themselves to the pain they see because they have a hope and a joy that eclipses it, that comes from Jesus and the body of Christ that we have. So they can feel all of it. I can keep feeling the pain of it happening again because of the work of Jesus in me and in our community. I can witness yet again another person dead, another black person dead at the hands of police, because we can generate justice to change that and the hope to endure it. We have decided that this is something we want to be known for. It's even one of our church's proverbs. We say we want to generate justice and hope in our neighborhoods. We want to make a difference where we live. I'm so glad I'm right here in the garden and at Hart Lane Farm, seeing what a transformation even a place like this can make, both in the center of the opioid crisis in Philadelphia and also in a relative food desert, providing safety and good resources to people who need them. Green space matters in all of our neighborhoods. And people in our community right now are asking our city during its budget season to consider, how do you allocate your resources? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So maybe we can try to funnel some of the money from the police budget to other social services. We're doing practical things, and people are asking the mayor to do something different in Philadelphia, and the same things are happening throughout our whole region too. That's a practical way that we can generate justice and hope. Led by our compassion teams and our teams committed to peacemaking, Circle of Peacemakers, and to fight the fight for Black lives through Circle Mobilizing, because Black lives matter. The South Jersey Mutual Aid team is also generating justice and hope in their region too. They're delivering meals all over the region to families in need, literally filling the hungry with good things. That's the kind of place I want to be a part of. That's what gives me hope to keep fighting on. This practical application of the gospel is a wonderful way for the world to really see the hope that Christians bring. And it's an invitation into a life of resistance and restoration. And these are just a few examples. There's even more good that's happening in our community, more good that says we can see the evil in the world and endure it and then do something about it. The change that I want, we can help bring about. I'm tired of seeing Black people die at the hands of police. But you give me the ability to endure that and the spirit to fight for justice. So you can see, I hope, that our church can be and is an instrument to bring God's righteousness or God's justice to earth. We can help make the whole world just. God can move in us to help make wrong things right. We don't need to numb ourselves to the obvious evil that's around us. We can enter into it because God will make things right here and now, and promises us too in a time to come as well. So in the face of the worst evil, the church can prophetically imagine new ways of doing things. We can enter into grief fully and emerge with hope for those who are in despair. It can offer strength to the weary. It can offer the resolve to keep marching with nothing turning us around. When it seems inevitable that the way that we keep our neighborhoods safe results in the killing of Black and brown siblings of ours, we can say no. We have a greater imagination than that. We can do things differently. We're fueled by the one who makes justice and make hope. And so your worldly parameters don't limit our imagination for what's possible. We can say no to the imaginations that the powers limit. We can say no to the parameters that they set upon us, how they oppress us. No, another world is possible, and we can be a part of it, and we are a part of it. Jesus is using us to generate hope and justice. We can imagine something new and demonstrate it. An urban farm, just like this, is a seed of hope, and we have many more of those too. And for me, on this dreaded week, that fills me with hope. I can endure all the suffering because I have hope that it can change. And I can endure the pain and see it and do something about it because I have fuel to continue to fight for justice, for righteousness, for a better place. And so I can now dance for joy and lift up my hands because I know that deliverance is coming, and I and we are agents of it. We are vessels of God, fighting for justice, bringing peace, offering hope. The whole world can change. The whole world can be turned around, and we can be a part of that. And so take heart, all you weary, all you worn down. If your heart breaks like mine does when you see violence committed against black and brown bodies by law enforcement, we have another way. And so enter into the pain. You don't need to deny it. You don't need to numb it. You can see the reality before you because we know the author of justice and hope. And Jesus leads us to generate more of that right in our neighborhoods.
So good. Thank you, Johnny. We have time for some talk back, and there's some conversation already happening here. Ben, I'll just throw this one to you because you and Chris were talking about transcendence and imminent justice. How is it a both and?
Yeah, I think Johnny was channeling his frustration when he was saying, like, I can't just take like this transcendent, like, kind of like this kingdom is going to come someday kind of experience. That's not enough, and I'm with him there. So like, and I think that's what Chris in the chat was also saying was like, no, we can't just have transcendence. He said imminent justice, not transcendence, and I think I was just qualifying just to make sure that we know that, like, that's the point of the rest of Johnny's talk, is because of this transcendent reality, we can do imminent justice. Because if we didn't have Jesus alive among us in this kind of transcendent way, we'd all just quit or become too cynical or too numb. People were talking about. We need the transcendence to do the imminent, and we won't be satisfied until both are the reality that we know that they are in Christ.
Yeah, Charles, I think, said something about how it erodes us. If we're just holding the pain, it erodes us. We have to be able to act. We have to work for change. What else are you seeing in the chat, pastors?
I took the transcendence a different way. I thought Johnny was talking about, and maybe we can ask Johnny since he's right here. Lucky us. But I thought he was talking about like a mystical, like having just some kind of mystical life with God, as if God is like up in some la la land, not connected to the actual pain of the world and in our lives. And of course, we know that's not true in Jesus. And so I love how Johnny, pointed us to Jesus to go through.
Yeah, Jesus was changing neighborhoods. He came from a neighborhood where they said nothing good could come from it.
Jesus was really a perfect example of somebody who had transcendent hope, but lived in the imminent pain of his world. This kind of mysterious person that we worship, really holding both together, never using transcendence to minimize his neighbor's pain, but using it to cast a vision for a different world while also weeping with his neighbor, right? That's who I hope we can be, and I think that's who we are.
I think Joseph's getting at that kind of, it's a tension, really. Joseph says, don't mourn, organize. And that's a quote from Joe Hill, who got killed by the bosses for organizing. I know Joseph, he's a real rabble rouser. So he wants to get the bosses. And I can appreciate that, because those are the mountains, especially in our culture, in the United States, I should say. That's one of the real giant inequalities. And I wouldn't say, and I guess what I'm saying again, I would say to you, Joseph, as well, let's mourn and organize, and even have our mourning be part of our organizing, because there's so much power in that shared sorrow, and even the discipline, Luke says, of holding the pain as well.
Creative suffering, Gwen named it. Yeah. Thanks, pastors. There's time for more talk back throughout this week, so I hope you'll connect to a cell to do that. Ben and Rachel are going to tell us what else is happening coming up.
Yeah, first off, please like this video. It gets it into the YouTube algorithm so our YouTube friends can find us. It's one of the ways that we want to meet people, is here on YouTube. Also subscribe, that helps. We need a lot more subscribers before we can put links in the video that you can click on the link to go to the Circle of Hope's website or to connect to a cell. Right now, you have to find that in the description, but you could put it in the video if we had a lot more subscribers. So subscribe if you haven't already, and ask your friends and grandmas too as well. Also, share this content. We on our YouTube channel, and especially this meeting. I think it's very shareable. Did you know that on YouTube you can share from a certain moment? You can share from a minute mark. So if you wanted to share, look at this song, it's so great, I wanted you to see this. Or, hey, look at Johnny's talk, this was really powerful, what do you think? That's a way that you can share this video as well, if you didn't know that YouTube does that. Again, YouTube is a tool for us to connect in this world that we live in. And I think we're going to be living on YouTube even after the pandemic in more ways than we did before. And I think that's great, because there's so many people we could connect to this way. All of the infrastructure, including our YouTube channel and our communication manager, Luke Bartolomeo, all of the pastors, we all require support. And so the way we do that is we share our money in common. We have a common fund. You can participate in it at circleofhope.net/sharing. And, just put it in Jesus's mouth. He says, where your money is, there, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I think what Jesus is saying, you got to line up your heart and your treasure. And if you love Circle of Hope and what we're doing, if you love Jesus and what he's calling us to do, to be these generators of hope and justice in our neighborhoods, then let's be a part of that financially as well, and just line ourselves all up from top to bottom. So what else, Rachel?
I want to tell you about how to connect to a cell if you are interested in connecting beyond this meeting, being part of a group of 10-ish people who meet either in person safely or on Zoom right now, and they gather around Jesus and share their lives. And there's probably no better advertisement for it than Alec and Jimmy's conversation earlier in the meeting. You can see the love and connection they share. And I loved the chat. Their cellmates were jumping on the chat saying, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's what a cell is. It's a place to be known. It's a place to explore faith. It's a place to grow your faith. And there's a list on our website with contact information, or you could reach out to any of the pastors. Something special that's coming up in our cell groups at the end of the month is a special little time that we're calling Jesus with No Strings Attached, where we're just going to explore a Jesus story together and receive it as an invitation. Jesus is always throwing out these questions and invitations. And so we're going to do that all together in cells at the end of the month. And I think that'll be fun. Also at the end of the month, right before that happens, the last Saturday of the month, we're going to have a love feast, which is something we do quarterly, where friends who want to be baptized can do that. friends who want to make a covenant with us can do that. And that's going to be happening on Zoom on that Saturday. I believe it's the 23rd. And then finally, if you want to keep talking with us right now, you can stay for the Zoom after hang. I think the hosts are putting the link in the chat. It's an informal half an hour or so to explore some of the questions and ideas we've been talking about in the meeting, and to just keep getting to know each other and to connect. So God bless you.
I want to send you off with this encouragement. Take heart, those who are weary and worn down. We can see the reality of before us without despair, because we know the author of justice and hope, and he leads us to generate more of that in our neighborhoods. So go in the hope of Christ, so that all that we do can be evidence of a world turned upside down. See you next week.
Make a way.